Welcome to part two of Track Talk with my old pal, returning champion Stan Lynch. And in this episode, we cover more Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers tunes and some other music Stan's recorded. I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't checked out part one, be sure to do that. And I'll put the link in here so you can find that. Definitely check that out. But enjoy part two. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the other side.
It's like being in a live rock band. Yeah, there's nothing quite like it.
Well, I'm gonna jump backwards for a second, and
Sure.
everybody. We talked a little bit about the first couple of records, and you played a couple of, for the drummers watching, and there's a lot of drummers watching. You played some of the most creative and legendary parts. I mean, I think the part that you came up with for Breakdown, and I know you've told this story before, but maybe you could give us the Reader's Digest version for anybody who
Sure.
hasn't heard it, because it's such a great story. But this is a song that all of us drummers agonized over for years, and I think you shedding light on it makes a whole lot of sense for people.
Well, it's a shuffle.
Yeah,
Essentially, it's a very slow shuffle. It's dun, 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 dun. I mean, it's a dirge of a shuffle.
yeah,
So, and if you can't, and I didn't know how to shuffle. I played with some Texas guys, but they played fast shuffles, dun, 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 dun. So I could do that, but I was freaked out when I remember hearing, like, I think Tom had the lick. I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to play to that? And then I was freaking out. I was trying to play like a real shuffle.
yeah,
I was like, and I think Keltner was the one who just said, don't even worry about shuffles. He goes, it's so deep. And he explained that there's 50 kinds. And it was like, oh shit, my head was spinning, New Orleans shuffle, Chicago shuffle, like, oh God, no. And he goes, put one hand behind your back. And that was the thing that saved me. First, I thought he was kidding. I thought,
yeah,
this is a wind up, and so I went out and I was behind a gobo, so you couldn't see me. And I'm playing a little tiny Gretsch kit at the time. I had a little 20, 12, and a 14. And
and you're like 20 years old, right? Basically, I mean,
yes,
20.
just. And
Yeah,
I think there's maybe two mics on the kit. Like, there's probably a kick drum and an overhead.
hmm,
And that was the same with American Girl. The drums are all on one track, literally, and I went behind the gobo and I just poke my foot and I went boom, bap, boom, chink, bap with one hand, bap, boom, chink, bap. And immediately I was just doing it to see what was he, I had one hand behind my back.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and immediately the couple other guys started playing, like just fell right in, like, well, that must mean that Lynch is ready to cut a track, and of course the tape's rolling already. And that was the record. And that's why the intro has like a weird count, because it comes in wrong. And it's like, there's no set.
yeah.
And it's literally like the drums are the take of me learning to play that beat. And I think about halfway through, I figured out, not even halfway, maybe quicker, like instead of going boom, bap, boom, chink, bap, I went boom, bap, boom, chink, bap, boom, jack, boom, because it was just easier ergonomically than doing that,
Yeah, yeah,
And then it all of a sudden, I don't know how that worked, but there was a little delay on Tom's vocal. So there's a bop, bop, there's a little haunt,
yeah,
so
yes.
it gave me a, because his delay was unforgiving. Like it's not going to speed up or slow down. So it helped me keep my time. I got a cosmic assist. You know what I mean? Because the bop bop gave me a subdivision.
Hmm.
And so that's part of it too. If you're trying to play this beat, it's criminally stupid to play it, but having that little tiny vocal production on those two mics on the drums. Anyway,
And your time, Stan, on that song, it's
I think it was the cosmic assist from the delay. I do. I don't want
okay.
to say that my timing sucked, But I think I got because it was when you have a bop, 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 that's kind of like the edge in U2. You cleave to your delay. You cleave
Yeah.
to that. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because you can hear if you're speed up, or you'd be like, the delay's not gonna speed
Yeah.
up with me.
That makes sense.
And I
But
imagine it was probably a 30 IPS, because we didn't have delays to dial in. It was either 15 or 30, because we were running a 2-track machine for delay. And so it probably was the 30 IPS delay, it was like, I'm guessing, it could have been 15,
it
but,
just it cruises along just like nobody's business. It's just so. Can we play a couple seconds of it?
oh yeah, I don't think I ever played this song. I don't think I played it twice, maybe twice, maybe.
Wow. Wow. Man, what a great story. What a great backstory.
Really.
It's alright if you love me. It's alright if you don't. I'm not afraid of you running away, honey. I get the feeling you owe. There is no sense in pretending. Your eyes give you away. Something inside you is feeling like I do. You said all there is to say.
Wow.
But you can hear the delay, how that's pretty helpful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I'm not selling myself out, but I'm saying, like, that's a nice thing if you can, but it's hard to play to a drum delay if you're going to play complicated. So
Yeah. Yep.
it allowed the drummer to cosmically think he was probably doing a little more than he was. It's not on the kick drum, because the kick drum mic was shoved in there with a pillow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was like, that poor little bass drum probably just sounded like, I don't know what it sounded like. But everything, the overhead mic was probably, my drums are being picked up in Tom's 57.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's,
And it created that little.
and I had enough brains to know, don't try fills.
No,
You know what I mean?
you absolutely did. And there were plenty of places there where the average mortal drummer would have thought, oh, look, there's a place where I can put a fill, but you didn't. And that's the magic of that song.
Well, no, what it is it's the fear that I did not want to fall off that balance beam. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm on a
yeah.
2-inch balance beam, and I'm walking across it like the walking flying Walendas between buildings, trying to stay on that exact pocket as a boy, knowing full well, at least I had the brains to know, if I fall off the beam, this isn't a record anymore.
Yeah.
That this is an attempt at a record. But I knew when they were all playing, once they came in, like, God, if I can make 3 minutes,
Yeah.
it's like, holy crap. So I
And
think yeah,
and
I think
everybody knew.
right.
I mean, it seems like everybody got it at the same time. Like, this is the take. Like, let's not fool with this. It's not going to get better than this. This is perfect. Was that kind of the feeling in the room at that time?
Yes.
Was like, yeah,
Yes,
we
I
got
think
it.
as I remember it, Mike's lick, the that was he landed on that lick at the very end,
Yeah.
like on the fade. And I think Phil Seymour or Dwight Twilley, or maybe one of those guys was there. And they said, man, that's a great lick. And Mike went like, oh, and then became the theme, if you will.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was just, as Mike was wanting to do in those days, he'd just throw out a lick that would be like, damn, dude. You go like, but he'd be like, oh, is that cool? Everybody was, but yeah, that's a famous sounding guitar lick, you know? And then Phil Seymour came and did all those great background vocals, which we had to do live, which were another nightmare. But Phil, he rest his soul, man. He was a great musician. He was great. Phil could play drums and sing, and he was pretty damn good, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
So those records were all kind of mysterious. And I think we were all pretty stoned. And the producers, quote unquote, the engineer, were doing a lot of acid, literally, you know,
Wow.
and the equipment was substandard, funky stuff, you know, old 3M machines that if you did try to punch in, made these horrible clacking sounds. And I mean, this stuff was done, you wouldn't even call them demos today. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you would probably go like, oh man, I don't know, we have to cut that because that demo don't make it, you know, but they were all vibe. They were just vibe,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's, it feels that way when you listen to these songs now. Like as a kid listening to them, I didn't really understand that just in my, you know, being naive that as I was, but that's, I think what I love about these older songs is that it's vibe, it's feel. It's like, it's you guys just making your way through the track, you know, and
it's kind of like feeling it is sort of like wandering through the woods, you know, like, but all of them, what I loved about that band was that there'd be 5 guys, but they didn't all play at the same time. They'd always find a way to, like,
yeah,
one guy would just go, one guy would dee, and one, it was like, there was no layering of like,
yeah,
here's a lick, let's all play the same thing. And that was like wonderful, because the band I had played in before, everybody played the exact same thing at the same time and wanted me to play this, you know, like if, you know, it was almost prog rock, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So this was the opposite of, this was just like, man, it was really, you know.
So much soul. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's play, you know, again, a song I know you and I've talked about many times, and you've probably talked about yourself a million times. American Girl, just to play a little bit of it and talk about this, you know, again, this incredible beat that you came up with. Should we play it? You want to talk about it first, or just play it and we can talk about it after?
Just play a little, play them,
Okay,
you know,
I'll play a little
drop
bit.
it, you know, just a little bit, yeah, you know. That's basically the whole record. That's the record.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's, it started as we all love Bo Diddley. We're all from the South, and Bo Diddley lived down the street. You know, we all knew he was from our area, and we worshiped, you know, at the altar. And Tom came in, it was around the 4th of July, you know, during the bicentennial.
Yeah.
1770, you know, 1776, 1976. And we were going to do I think he was inspired by the fervor, you know, and
Sure.
he said, I've got a Bo Diddley kind of song. And, you know, so I sat down and actually did, you know.
Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, dum, dum.
Yeah, but I did the exact thing on a tom-tom, which is kind of what the beat was. And it just felt soggy to me somehow. It just didn't feel perky. It didn't go. It just sort of sat there being a Bo Diddley beat. And then and it didn't really catch fire. Nobody was really playing. It was just me and Tom, I think, just kind of standing there looking at each other going, oh, okay. And then once again, the gobo, because nobody could tell what I was doing, that was really kind of cool. Like you probably see my head. And I remember splitting it up and just doing like literally, like, I don't know if you can hear it, but it was criminally dumb, because the part should have probably gone boom, 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 but it doesn't. I think it just goes like boom, 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 and it's like there's a missing part in it. But that is what the band usually fell for. the guys loved it when you didn't crowd it.
Yeah.
And it's just a frantic way to play Bo Diddley if you fillet it out, in my mind, you know? And, but yeah, it's just, I think it's a set it and forget it. Like it's a Ron Popeil drum part. You just go. There's probably a crash cymbal. I don't even know if there's any fills. And then there's a little section in the middle where it kind of breaks down, kind of goes boom, to boom, 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 boom. And it's just boom, boom, you know. Yeah. It's kind of frantic and I don't even know where that came from. I don't think anybody said we need to break it down. I think it was just more like probably one of those things where I went like, I'm going to try a different beat. And it was like, you know, and like, okay. And that seemed to work, you know, like everybody went, you know what I mean? It was like, that's like, let's just find out what was, and Tom was probably finding out if he liked his song. Like, do I love my song? And I remember we cut it, and one of my buddies who I was still working at a record store at the time, who was there, and Steve Wilson, great guy. He was in the studio, like, you know, and I played him the song, and I remember him. There was like, you know, the 4th of July was actually happening, and I remember him looking at me and going like, Lynch, he goes, I think you just made a hit record. And I thought he was kidding. Literally, I didn't even know where to file that. You know, like I'm still working at a record store and driving an old Yamaha 60, you know, like, and he goes, I think you just got a hit record, man. And I'm like, really? He's like, oh yeah. He goes, there's something going on there. And it was like, he was kind of right, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, wow.
And that drum part, Stan, again, you're way too humble because that's just such an important part of that song, obviously. And it made a lot of drummers crazy for a lot of years. It still does too. You know, I've seen so many drummers butcher that song.
Well, it's easy to do because you want to play more than, you know, I think literally the reason why the part, and, you know, I've said this before, Denny Cordell, all credit to him, because when I was struggling with drums, great producer, cool English guy, wonderful. And, he would say to me, like, you know, Stan, if you leave all that shit out, they will always misinterpret you as tasteful. And it was like the greatest advice you could give a young, almost a teenager looking to make his mark. Like, because obviously, you know, we all grew up thinking like, you know, Charlie Watts, Ringo, tasteful. That doesn't get any cooler than that. You know, I'll never be that. So you try to explode and show people how great you are. But he taught me that early minimalist way. He suckered me into it by saying, people will think you're cool if you leave all that shit out, you know? So he suckered me, you know, because he knew I wanted to be cool. Everybody wants to be cool, you know? Nobody wants to be a geek. So it's, but well, yeah, but that's how probably some of these earlier drum parts to those Petty records, they're more survival oriented. Like, what can I actually do for 3 minutes? You know?
Yeah.
As a drummer, you know, you write a check in your head and you can't cash it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the most embarrassing thing in the world to go like, I can hear it in my head. Well, then why are you, but nobody else can, so you're an idiot.
Well, I'll just share. I've told you this before, but when I first heard that song, I was playing in a band, and the leader, singer of the band wanted to do it. And I remember hearing it, and I remember thinking, I'll never be able to figure this song out. I'll never be able to play this. And I remember when I finally got it, I was like, but it was one of those songs where if you think about it too much, even today, I used to play it in my band now, we were playing it. And as long as I wasn't thinking about it too much, I could do it. And I remember telling you this, and you said, oh yeah, man, you can't, don't try doing this, you know, at the same time, or, you know, it's,
yeah.
It
I had the same problem. Hey, look, we would open shows with that, and I would, you know, I play traditional, but I would be so freaked out by that beat that I would have to play match grip.
Yes.
Just because it was like,
yeah.
I turned into like the chimpanzee with the, you know, it was like, because the essence of it is to be kind of, you're kind of groovy.
Yeah.
But it would sometimes freak me out. I'd get vertigo. Like I'd go like, am I playing the right bass drum part? You know, like, and it'd be like, oh shit, Lynch, just play the damn song and get out of here. like play the freaking song. You're way up in your ass,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I think most drummers can relate to that. It's like there's a very pleasant out of body experience that happens when you're playing drums well. You don't know you're even doing it. That's the
Yeah.
greatest. It's like a whiteout. You just go like, I don't know if I'm going up, down. I just know I'm playing. But when you actually start to play the drums and think about it, it's a terribly bizarre thing to do.
It is.
It's ergonomically incorrect. Yeah, it can go from the coolest thing in the world to the most unpleasant. Like, who would make me do this? If anybody loved me, why would they want me to do this? But yeah.
Oh man. Well, this is a great segue, and I know we've been going for a while. And I think it's great. We've talked about, like the sort of middle period. We went back to the very beginning with this song, with American Girl and Breakdown. And I want to move forward now to an unbelievably incredible song that I think exemplifies your growth as a drummer and as a musician. And the song I'm talking about is The Heart of the Matter, Don Henley.
Once again, it's the simplicity and the discipline. And this is Henley. Like, this isn't me talking. This is Don. And, I met Don at a great time in my life because he wanted me to learn. He was willing to be my Sherpa.
Yeah.
He saw something that he went like, okay, you're a lot of fun. Now, you really want to know how to do this? This is what you do. And he really was a wonderful big brother. And this track is all about the discipline. There's no, it's the opposite of what I tell you about jamming,
Yes,
and how much fun it is to play. No, this is a working drum part that is charted. It's every fill is virtually the same. There's an overdub of a ride cymbal because it's like there's no room to move in this.
Yeah.
It's a record, and it's a Don Henley record, and all that implies, because he is that guy. And it's like, man, because I tried a couple fills, I tried a couple things, and he's like, literally the talk back, I'd get halfway through the fill and be like, what are you doing? Be like, I thought I'd show you how it's supposed to go. And he's like, no, Buck, this is what, and he's right. And that's the scary thing about a guy because he learned all that from the Eagles. And I think him and Glenn had a great arranging thing. He would always say wonderful things about Glenn. He probably still does. He said the guy was an amazing arranger and knew exactly what to play and when not to play. So I was in the periphery learning. This is the track that I learned the art of this kind of drumming, which is something JR does 3 times before lunch on Wednesday. You know what I mean? This is what he would do intuitively. And he would just go, oh yeah, you want a record that's going to win a record of the year. Like that's JR. Oh yeah, okay. This is the record we make that makes Grammys. And this is why, but like I said, this did not come to me naturally, but I really am grateful that Don put the learning on me on this one.
Well, again, that's great that you said that, and you are so humble. But I think I agree with what you're saying, Stan. But I also think that he recognized that you have the discipline to do this and do it with the same sort of integrity, you know what I mean, and conviction and soul that you have.
I don't know if he knew. I doubt he knew I had the discipline. I think he knew I had the curiosity. I think that was the thing that maybe Don saw in me that was entertaining to him. Mm-hmm. You seem to want to know. Are you sure you want to catch, like when the dog catches the car? That would be like, Don, you sure you want to catch the car? You know what I mean? It's like, that would be that sort of, it was more of a challenge. Like, oh, you want to know? Well, you'll be behind the kit for the next 30 hours.
Yeah.
Glad you volunteered. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's sort of what I love about Don is like, he'll call bullshit on you fast. Oh, you think you can do it? Do you? It's like, so, and having he wanted a big sound. I knew that Don wanted a big snare drum, and that's hard to get and be consistent, to make the big marble, come down, it's like, and it's not muted. It's not a sound like the Torpedoes. It's a big garbage, but it's,
Yeah, yeah.
you can't really hit a rim shot. You kind of gotta, anyway.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I listening to this song, that's exactly what I hear as a big sound, and you're playing with with a good amount of power. I mean, you're definitely laying down, a good.
Oh yeah, you're beating your brains in, and that's the
Yeah.
same Tama kit. It's the same kit again,
Wow. Yeah.
So, and I think there's literally one tom. I think it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe, well, we'll hear it in a second. Maybe not even any cymbal crashes, or maybe just a couple of.
yeah, I think there's one
Maybe-
at the end of every, I think
Okay.
at the end of every fill, I think, it was like, literally Don wrote the part,
Yeah.
Don wrote the chart, I didn't I was purely the mechanic trying to understand how to make this record. Like I said, JR would be like, if he was there, he would go, what took you so long? Like, we've been waiting for you, it's like,
Man. Well, our mutual friend, Steve Smith, great drummer. This is one of his
Yeah.
favorite songs. And he and I have talked about it. I know he mentioned it when I did that interview for that magazine with you years ago. And
yeah.
he referenced this song as being just a masterpiece and restraint and discipline. And I just want to say quickly, this episode is going to end up on YouTube, and I apologize to anybody who sees this later on YouTube. If this song doesn't make it, I might get a copyright claim. I tend to get those from the Eagles and Don Henley. So the song may not make it on the YouTube. It will be on the podcast audio. It seems to get through those okay, but I may have to take it out when I actually put this up on YouTube. So I advise everybody, if it's not there, to just play it at home and listen to Stan's beautiful drumming. But I'm going to play it right now. And this is from the End of the Innocence record, Heart of the Matter. It's just absolutely beautiful song with the absolutely beautiful Stan Lynch on drums. Here we go.
I got the call today. Didn't want to hear, but I knew that it would come. An old true friend of ours was talking on the phone. She said you found someone. And I thought of all the bad luck and the struggles we went through, and how I lost me and you lost you. What are these voices outside love's open door? Make us throw off our contentment and beg for something more. But I'm learning to live without you now. But I miss you sometimes. The more I know, the less I understand all the things I thought I knew. I'm learning again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak, and my thoughts seem to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore.
And the same Phil comes back again.
Ah, these times are so uncertain. There's a yearning undefined.
Well, that's some great
That's just
insight.
it's a hell of a song. That's all there's to say about that. That's
Yeah.
a hell of a song. It's a hell of a vocal. And I mean, all credit to the guy who wrote them. It's like that's great stuff.
Yeah.
That's just great stuff. It's
And
hard.
I
It would be hard not to have a good drum track. They wouldn't have allowed it.
well, I was going to say, I didn't realize until you just told me that the ride cymbal is overdubbed. I thought you were playing that, live
No.
on the track, but that's, yeah, but but now that I listen, I can hear the groove stays the eighth note hi-hat part. And
I
that's
think
beautiful.
I think there's a tambourine overdub on a couple,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember where but that's just the 80s, man. I mean, that's like, you really made records. You really had to make a record, like,
Yeah.
and just even those eighth note chunks that Campbell's playing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, good grief, man. That's man stuff. That's all man stuff,
Yeah, yeah. And Mike, did Mike co-write that song, or he
Yeah,
co-produced?
Mike basically had the music package. He had the music presented pretty much like that,
Yeah, yeah,
Same with Boys of Summer, like
yeah.
that was
That's right.
scary, those are, yeah.
But I just, again, I'll just say it's what you brought to that track. And, to talk about Don for a minute, I don't know Don. I met him through you many years ago in LA. You were producing a track or a couple of tracks for his greatest hits record in like
Right.
the 90s. And you hired Vinny to play on a song.
Yes.
And Vinny I happened to be in LA. Vinny invited me to the studio, and there you were. He said, "Hey, Stan's here. He wants to say hi to you." And Don, I had seen Don a couple of times before when Ian Wallace was playing in the band.
Yeah, right.
At gigs. And he looked at me and said, "Where do I know you from?" And I was like, I stopped in my tracks. I said, "I'm a friend of Vinny's and Stan's." And Ian Wallace said, "Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, how'd you get in here? But,
Yeah, right.
but I'll just say, Don, again, I know we've talked about this, but man, I have such a great appreciation for his drumming all these years
man.
later. As a kid, I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it as much
Right.
as I dug guys like Charlie and Ringo and Levon and all those, Al Jackson, but I didn't get Don's drumming until I really started listening to just how he composes his tracks. And like you say, it's just,
Yeah.
it's
And
all thought out.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I was listening to New Kid in Town the other day, a record that I knew was good, but I really listened the other day to the
Yeah.
arrangement and that the parts that Don wrote, and it's like the sound that he's getting. It's
Yeah.
like, holy shit, man. How did I miss that one? Why did I think the problem, wrong word. The thing why I overlooked some of the drumming was it sounded easy.
Yes.
Which is the highest compliment you can give any professional. Whether it's John McEnroe, you made it look easy. It's the highest compliment you'll give any human on the planet. That looks easy. Well, you try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You try it.
Right.
Like, and you know, and it's so I love the older I've gotten, Henley's drumming has become better as I've gotten older.
Exactly.
Because
Well said.
But yeah, that was a real lucky turn of events in my life that I bounced off of him and he let it stick,
Yeah.
because it was purely by invitation. You don't go like, you don't knock on, you go, "Hey man, I want to hang at your party."
You need a drummer, Don? Yeah.
Yeah, Don, I play drums. It's like, no, that's invitation only. And it was really lovely that as a young man, he found that there was some reason to have me around, because boy, I have earned a library watching his work. I have earned a lot, and
Right.
I'm learning the stuff that he's learned from Glenn and the things he learned from all those other. So it's really nice when you run into other musicians with history, if they'll share. They don't even know they're doing it, but they're sharing all of that information they got. So it's fabulous. Like, it's just wonderful. Like every time I get together with people that I admire, I go, man, if I could just shut up long enough to learn, because they're going to teach me, like JR, I just got to get in a room with JR, have him tell me what his recollections of sessions are, because it's not just his information I'm getting Quincy Jones. I'm getting everybody in the room. I'm getting all this great stuff that's coming through him, but yeah.
I think JR's got a book coming out too, which is going to be really great
cool.
when that.
I bet it is. Yeah.
I had him on with me a couple, maybe a year or more ago, and we got to do another one because I think we get up to like the early or mid '80s in terms of like his work. You know what I mean? There was like in an hour and a half, we literally barely scratched the surface, and yeah, amazing.
Well, he's kind of a generational Hal Blaine. Like he's one of those guys
Yeah.
you don't realize, like, oh, he made all those records. He made you dance. He did all that. Like he did that. It was like, and it's easy to forget because the stars he worked with are so massive that you don't even, you go, oh, drums, you know, like, oh, but you realize these guys had the pick of any human being on the planet, and they went, that's your guy, you know, like, so, and he brought a lot of heat to a lot of records, man, you know.
Absolutely. But you know, and I want to just jump back for 1 second to the point you made about New Kid in Town. That song, that's a great example of what sounds like a simple song, and his feel in that song, just to try to play it with the same just sort of light, bouncy feel that he has. And then he plays those fills at the end where there's a new kid, and he's just vamping around the toms.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it all lays together is just, he's just a very underrated, underappreciated drummer, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, but he played drums on all them hits.
Yeah, I know. Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, forgot about that. You know,
That's
like,
right. Yeah. He did play drums on a lot of hits. Well, Stan, I thought we'd close it out with a song that is another masterpiece, and not surprisingly, or I'd say fittingly, it was the last song you recorded with the Heartbreakers. And I mean, talk about, you know, kind of moving on the highest note possible. Mary Jane's Last Dance was just, you know, just another masterpiece in drumming. You know,
You're very kind.
Absolutely, and I know everybody watching this will agree with me. It's just what you played. I mean, it's such a great song anyway, but what you played it really makes the track as far as I'm concerned. It's along with all the other great parts that are in there. I certainly don't want to take anything away. But.
Oh yeah, you know, that was not a great time for me, you know, like emotionally, spiritually, I wasn't enjoying, they weren't enjoying me. I wasn't really enjoying them. The producer was not, we had no grease. There wasn't love. And that was the thing that, why it ends for me, why anything ends, you know, why you break up with your mate, the love is gone. And it's like, and I practiced, I knew we were going to be cutting a couple songs for the greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike called me and said, well, we're doing a greatest hits record, which was a shock to me because that was always poo-pooed, and, you know, like, we're never going to do that. And like, okay. Mike said, we're going to get the original guys together. So I practiced, you know, I went into my garage and set up a kit and played drums for a while. And we went in and I'm still using this. I had the same kit, the Thomas, but I was sick of that snare sound. And so I brought in a Noble and Cooley, a piccolo.
Right.
And it was like almost an act of rebellion for me, of like, you know, like, like, I want a drum I can play, you know, like, I'm tired of, you know, pulling my hand out of the mud. And so that was what I liked about that track for me was that and it wasn't the groove that was originally prescribed to the song. They had a whole different feeling, but it was like I was in my active, like, hell with it. You know, I'm going out anyway, you know, like, so I'm going out on these terms. And I think we cut the song maybe once or twice, and I put the sticks down. And I remember, I'm pretty sure Jonas was probably still doing my drums then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember saying, pack them up, you know, like, before even, because I knew I had done my best.
Yeah.
Like, I knew, don't ask me to do this again. And I don't even want to hear about, there's too many fills, there's not enough fills, there's not the wrong kind of, it was, you know, it's a live track. I blew my wad in about 2 passes, And I remember calling Jeff and going, he goes, "Are you wrapped up already?" And I go, "I am wrapped up." And they were in the control room and watching my drums get wrapped up. And I remember somebody saying, "Oh, wow, you got another session?" And I go, "No, I'm going home." And it was like, it was that literally like, if you don't like this, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I have done, and I felt like I had earned the right in my mind after being sort of been in other rooms by now and producing records and writing. I knew when that drummer, me, had done his best. That was it.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yep.
know it yet. But fortunately, it was. And it was like, I'm sure they tried to cut it 50 times more, but you know, and fine, good, God bless them. But you at a certain point, you've heard yourself enough to know I'm not going to beat that as a live take, you know, without a clock, without anything. Man,
Yeah.
pack it up, you know.
Pack it up, man. Without
Yeah.
a clock, without, it's just, yeah, it's you. I love it.
It kind of was a statement.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not seeking approval. I'm done. And they were done too. We were both doing the same thing. Like, you know, it was like, but I'm not like going, "Was that any good?" I'm like going, "That's what I got today. And if that ain't good enough for you, I'll be in Florida on a beach sipping a scotch. Let me know how it worked out for you." You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, and the rest is history because it's an amazing track. It's just,
well, it's a great song. It's a great vibe. Once again, you know, I've been very, very fortunate to be in the rooms with amazing delivery systems. You know, Tom Petty, Don Henley, Bob Dylan. You know, I've been in these rooms where these delivery systems are undeniable, you know, and they've been very tolerant to a point with me, and then they weren't, which is, I hold no ill will about it. I just go, timing is everything, and it's just like being in a band is exactly like it's a relationship. You know, like you can't really go back to your old girlfriend, and you can't predict what your next one will look like, but you know what I'm doing right now is really good, and I don't want to screw this up. And that's usually the best you can hope for in a rock band. You know, I'd rather not screw this one, but if they screw it up, don't expect me to go, "This is fantastic." You know, it's like. Anyway, so yeah, Mary J. I was proud of that track. I was proud of it.
I remember we spoke on the phone not long after, and you kind of told me a little bit of this story at the time, and as much as you were probably comfortable talking about at that time, but you told me that yeah, man, this, you know, I'm proud of what I did, and you know, I think you might have even said something like, you know, time will tell or something like that. And I mean, and 30 years later, time has told, you know, here we are.
I got to play it live a few times. We played it on an MTV show. We played it, might have done one more tour. So I don't remember how it happened, why I ended up, but I do remember playing it live, and it was fun because it was one of those songs that wasn't hard to duplicate.
Yeah.
It was like, I envied drummers that had catalog songs like that. They weren't tricky. They weren't, you count four and play that, and I'll see you in 4.5 minutes, and I might go left, I might go right, I might play the same fill, I might try, or might not give a damn, but it was that, once again, it came all the way back, was the, you know, the arc was great. Like, you took me through the Henley discipline, and now we're kind of all the way back with a little more knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm playing that loose again, but now I can actually kind of play drums better, you know?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know, we try to get better. I think I'm a much better drummer now than I was during that era, you know? Like, every 10 years you look back and go, really? What was that Nimrod trying to sell? You know what I mean?
Well, let's play it. Let's dig it. We might have to play a little more than a little of it too. I think
you can do whatever you think the traffic will bear.
All right, here we go.
tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night. Well, she moved down here at the age of 18. She blew the boys away, it was more than they'd seen. I was introduced and we both started grooving. She said, I dig you, baby, but I got to keep moving on. Keep moving on. Last dance with Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. Well, I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, you never grow old. I'm tired of screwing up, I'm tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town. Oh my, oh hell yes. Honey, put on that party dress. Buy me a drink, sing me a song. Take me as I come, cause I can't stay long. Last dance with Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. There's pigeons down on Market Square. She's standing in her underwear, looking down from a hotel room. The nightfall will be coming soon. Oh my, oh hell yes. You got to put on that party dress. It was too cold to cry when I woke up alone. I hit my last number, I walked to the road. Last dance with Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again.
And thus ends a career.
No, I think most of us would say it was really the beginning of a career, an encore career.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the end of that one. It was,
Yeah.
but that's cool. I mean, I maintain, I went out on a high, like, to me, that's,
Absolutely.
for a drummer, that's a good, you win the Super Bowl. You got a hit record, your last track, you may as well put a fork
Yeah.
in it,
Yeah, that's it. And if I can ask Stan, so when you went in and recorded that, did you have a pretty good idea? Was Tom singing the vocal part to that? Like, did you know how the song was going to sound, the sort of finished version of it?
No,
No,
it was
okay.
presented to me that it was going to sound like Gimme Shelter.
Wow.
Right. It was presented to me that the only drum fill they were looking for was brap boom, brap boom. Oh, like they wanted it to be brap boom, straight.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
and before this is before I even heard the song.
Yeah.
I was told we're going to cut a song like Gimme Shelter. It's going to have a drum fill that goes brap boom, brap boom. And there was a producer who I never met, I had no rapport with, who was talking to me, who seemed like a nice fella, but I'm like going, I don't know you, and why are you telling me anything? So I was that guy, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm the drummer. Like, I'm not here to, I'm gonna like, and then when I heard the song, it felt like, I'd actually been listening to some like, at the time, it was kind of like white boy rap,
Yeah.
like a little
Yeah.
bit of the do bat, do bat, and it's fun to play. It's
Yeah.
fun. And so I think I just sat down and kind of got into that groove. And that's what sort of triggered the arrangement. And just as a comical note, at the very end of the song, I do play boom, boom twice, like for the producer. And I remember looking over at him going, but it was like, it was a bit of a, I won't say it was like one of those. It was more like a, meh,
Yeah.
yeah, really? Because I felt the song needed to keep falling forward.
Yeah.
Like, and I have an ego, when I'm playing drums in that band specifically. I have an ego, I have a voice. So I want my voice in this band, or get some, don't use me. It's like, it's not, which is fine too, but I don't want to be anybody but me.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, every time I try, it's a terrible struggle.
Well,
And it looks very awkward, it's like,
it's like you said, though. I mean, you couldn't have gone out on a higher note than that. That's,
I
yeah.
was happy. I was very happy. I was happy it was a hit. I was happy the greatest hits sold so well. It was like a shock, I think, to everybody. It
Yeah.
was like it was a big record, like holy crap. And so that was unexpected, because I was sort of already, so to me, it was like, that was a nice kiss from the universe,
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. And on your way out,
And it was a nice parting gift to the band. Like, I'm going to contribute to making a great song. It's going to help us sell some records. So,
yeah, well, it's like, you got one in the set list you can play,
yeah.
you got one, there's one in the set list. You can always play that one,
Yeah.
you can't accuse me of screwing it up, it's like,
Well done,
man.
my friend.
well, all right. Well, so have we hammered it way into the ground, or
This has been fantastic. We had so many people watching, so many people enjoying it, and I want to thank everybody. I know we went for a couple hours, and I will tell you now that I had this feeling we would go for a while, so I'm going to split this into 2 episodes when we put it up into the stratosphere and all those places, because there'll be no editing involved in this. We'll just have 2 great episodes out of this. So.
well, let me thank you, and let me thank anybody who's followed me or been interested in what I've done. I'm very, very appreciative. I don't take any of this for granted. I realize I am probably the luckiest guy on earth that I've been allowed to do just what I want to do since I was 15 years old. And it's extraordinary. And I really owe that to the interest of anybody that even wants to look over my shoulder. Like I said, I'll always be grateful. And if there's anything I can do, let me know.
Oh, that's beautiful, Stan. And thank you for those kind words. And I know everybody appreciates it. And Charlie Drayton has jumped in and sent so much love and
Another
gosh,
great.
another
Wow.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You draw the big guns.
Well, he's like a threat on bass, on drum. I mean, he is a rhythm section.
That's
it's
right.
like he's another scary man.
He's another scary man. He's a one-man rhythm section.
Yeah, and he looks cool doing it too, which is like, that really scares me. It's like, talk about, he makes it look easy and fun.
Yeah.
Well done, my friend. Well done.
Yeah. And a beautiful human.
Yeah, I'd
inside and
love to know him more. I really
Yeah.
would. I would. But I appreciate that. Like you keep all these people connected, John. That's so cool. That's
Thank you,
really
Stan.
nice. Because the world is so fractured and we're so crazy. We're out of our minds. We're always looking for something. And it's like, you put it right in front of us. And I
you.
love this. And I love watching your shows. I'm not so self-fixated that I only dig me. Trust me.
Thank
It
you.
sounds like it when we're sitting here doing this, but
No,
I
and
love what you do.
I love all you guys, and I'm so glad I can still be in touch with so many of my friends from my past life, and we can do this, and we'll continue to do it. And I want to give one more quick mention to your radio show, Heartbeat, on Sirius XM,
Thank you.
the Tom Petty radio channel. And yeah, and I know lots of people mentioned earlier that they watch it, and congratulations on that too.
It's fun. I'm actually enjoying it. It gave me a chance to reconnect with the guys and reconnect with the stories and reconnect with that whole part of my life that was sort of like, wow, it was behind a big 20-ton bank vault for years. When I closed
Yeah.
that chapter, in order to move on, you have to kind of let your divorce be complete. So, but this has been nice, like opening up, and it's only been, I've only gotten nice. I get you get a few
Yeah.
haters, but not many. It's like, but that
I don't think so.
I love them. I love all that. It's like, it's like, hey, how'd your band do? I'm always in response. It's like, let me hear some of your stuff.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. It's like when you're on a gig on a Saturday night and some guy's giving you the evil eye and you're thinking, well, man, I'm out playing a gig on a Saturday night and you're out here watching me. So,
Yeah.
I
I mean, do you really want the job? Because I'll go get a drink. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, but it's like, I mean, it's like, I've learned to like, hey man, I almost, in a weird way, the worse the better now. I've gotten to this point in life where it's like, yeah, sometimes some stuff will sting, but mostly it's like, nah, it's okay. I get it. You got a lot of time on your hands. I get it.
Oh, man. Well, Stan,
All right.
thank you so much. Hang with me for 1 second. I'll end the live stream and thank everybody for being here today. Another hand for Stan Lynch, my hero and yours. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll be back real soon.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, all podcasts are available on all the podcast platforms. And a reminder that Live from My Drum Room t-shirts are available for $25 in the contiguous U.S. And I want to take a moment and thank everyone who's bought one already. A reminder that 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship at the Percussive Arts Society, PAS, and you're supporting a great cause when you buy one of these shirts. So the Venmo information, if you're listening, it's at John-DChristopher-2. You can also email me at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. All right, so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. I'll see you again real soon.